Today, I'll be narrating one of the best movies released in 2022, The Woman King. You ready? Let's go. In an African kingdom lived the people of Dahomey. A new king, Gezo, young and brave, just ascended the throne. Dahome's enemies, the Oyo Empire, has joined forces with the Mahi people to raid Dahomey and sell her people to European slavers. While the Oyo Empire has guns and horses, the Dahomey has but an elite force of female soldiers, the Agoje, led by General Naniska to defend the land. And so the story begins. The movie opens with soldiers from Mahi gathered around a bonfire. They suddenly hear strange noises but first dismiss it as birds. Then a group of warrior women rise from the fields and attack them. The women slaughter the men and free the captives. The Migano, Naniska, as called by her people, sees a horseshoe and suspects the Oyo soldiers have something to do with the Mahi people. Next, we're transported to the beautiful kingdom of Dahomey. A young girl, Nawi, and her friend are in the marketplace when a sound from afar sends them all running with excitement. The Agoje has returned with the captives. The people bow as they pass as it is forbidden to look upon them. Naniska seems worried despite their victory, so she requests to see the king. Nawi gets home to a big shock. Her parents have sold her off to an elderly man for marriage. The man asks a question. When she doesn't respond, he gets violent with her, which angers her to push him down. He flares up and leaves. Nawi's father is so angry, he drags his daughter to the palace and offers her to the king. Izogi, one of the Agoje, takes her in. Nawi is in awe of the sight of women training. The Oyo soldiers visit Mahi where the Agoje raided, and their general Oba is enraged. The king of Dahomey, King Gezo, makes his way to meet with his council. He greets his wife as he passes. Naniska is there waiting on him as the king's guard. One of the wives, Shante, is jealous at how Naniska is able to approach boldly before the king in war clothes. The king's attendant immediately puts her in her place. In council, the king presents the horseshoe Naniska found and decides not to pay tribute to the Oyo Empire anymore. He seeks emancipation for his people, especially now the Oyo Empire dines with their enemies. Migan, a council member, advises him against it as it might bring about war. He suggests they maintain the current tribute to keep the peace and prosperity. Naniska believes the Agoje can defend Dahomey against the Oyo Empire, and what prospers them is the selling of their captives to the Europeans, but they cannot continue for what happens when they run out of captives. She thinks they should sell gold and palm oil instead. There are many oppositions on this, but the king is willing to give audience to Naniska if she can prove it's possible to produce oil. In the next scene, the new recruits are prepped on what is required of them and given a last chance to back out if they wish. While some women leave, Nawi seems like she's found her place. While snooping around the place, Izogi tries to instill a bit of fear in Nawi so she can respect her. She orders her to go bathe and she leaves. Nawi meets Naniska in the bath and the two get talking. She reveals she's only 19 years but willing to be a soldier. Naniska says obstinate daughters like her often fail when brought here. It's the first day of training. The girls are handed ropes. Nawi mutters a rope is not a weapon. Naniska, hearing this, gives Nawi her sword and asks her to chop a dummy's head off. She tries and fails, obviously. Naniska takes the sword and chops the head off and then tells her to get back to roping. Way to show her who's boss. At nightfall, Izogi tries talking some sense into Nawi. Training continues and Nawi finds it hard keeping up. The Agoje holds a little contest with the men to see who can resist pain more, and the Agoje wins. Nawi and her newfound friends Fumbe and Ode get mischievous during training, which gets them sanctioned. Nawi takes the blame. Naniska is rather intrigued at the trick, but Nawi's sharp tongue angers her and she almost kicks her out of the Agoje. Igozi meets Nawi later and warns her yet again to be careful what she says or do, especially to Naniska, saying she may very well be the very first woman king they've had in 1,000 years. Amenza visits Naniska to ease her mind after she just woke startled by a dream. She shares the disturbing dream she just had and Amenza tries to interpret with a little help. Later, Naniska is passing by when she hears a noise. She checks it out and finds Nawi practicing in the dead of night. The next day, the Dahomey people gather in celebration when it's disrupted by Oyo soldiers. With them is General Oba, who is no stranger to Naniska, and she looks shocked and very pissed. Oba, however, doesn't seem to remember her. They've come for the tribute to their empire. The Oyo soldiers complain the tribute is small and ask for 40 agogie to make up for it, or else the port will no longer be open to the Dahomey people for trade. Although the port belongs to Dahomey, the king agrees to give him 20 agogie to avoid problems. Oba leaves some of his men behind to feast on his behalf. Naniska chooses the 20 agogie and Nawi is one of them. Later, she's found rattled by Amenza. Seems like the general assaulted her way back and it scarred her deeply. At the port of Ouidah, a new merchant arrives from Brazil. He does not seem happy with the slavery. While looking around the place, the agogie arrives. The general receives them thinking they brought what he asked. Instead, they offer the heads of the men the general left in Dahomey. They come bearing a message from the king. He is a great king and he bows to no one. After their display, they make a run for it, but Naniska stays and attacks the general. Nawi, seeing this, stays back to help. She manages to knock the general down and they both run away as Oyo soldiers pursue them. The whites did not interfere all through the fight. Naniska and Nawi jump into the water where their sisters wait on them. Once they get to shore, Naniska goes off on Nawi for not following the plan. You think she'd be grateful? She warns her never to act alone. The agogie always works together. Knowing Nawi, she's not gonna be quiet, so she tries to defend her actions, but Izogi stops her. Amenza approaches Naniska quietly and says she's the one who did not follow the plan, but she says her plan was to take the general's head. Back at the palace, Shante tries to sweet-talk Naniska about they sharing same interest in the kingdom, but she sees right through her crooked ways. Naniska's plan of producing oil seems to be working as she takes the king through the production site. Nawi visits the waterfall to sharpen her sword. The new merchant in town was out in the kingdom when he stopped for a bath in the waterfall. Nawi takes his clothes and tells him to return to Ouidah naked like the slaves he trades. He explains he's one of them, a Dahomey. His father is white and mother a Dahomey. He was on his way there when he stopped for a bath. Nawi returns the man's clothes. He introduces himself as Malik. Nawi is fascinated about the chain on his neck. While checking it out, she's startled and runs away when Malik's partner approaches. They visit the palace and present King Gezo with gifts. He welcomes them, especially Malik, when he hears he's part Dahomey. King Gezo also asks they join him as the agogies in training take their final tests. The challenge begins and Nawi is relentless. She makes it through the bush of thorns but goes back for her friend stuck in it. She still manages to meet up with the others and becomes the victor. The king and everyone is so impressed at her performance. Gezo specially welcomes her to the king's guard. Izogi helps Nawi take out thorns from her body. She asks why she went back for Fumbe and she responds because she wants her friend to stay. Naniska comes and joins them. While checking the scars on her body, she notices a mark on Nawi's back. Nawi says it's been there since her father chose her from an orphanage. Naniska storms off immediately. Amenza follows her to inquire what happened. Apparently, Naniska had a child. She gave her to Amenza to do with as she pleases, calling it a burden. Amenza gave the child to a missionary. She tells her to calm down, there is no way that child could be Nawi. The merchant tries to reason with King Gezo about his decision to stop slave trading after Shante briefs him of the palm oil production. Meanwhile, Malik goes around the palace. Nawi sees him and goes to have a word. Malik tells her to come see him after dark just outside the palace walls. That night, the girls take their blood oath as full initiation into the agogie. Seems like Izogi has grown so fond of Nawi. She asks her about Malik, saying she noticed he waved at her at the contest. Izoki tells her love makes one weak and she shouldn't give her power away. Later, Nawi sneaks out to go see him. They just sit and talk, then he informs her that General Oba is plotting something big for Dahomey. Nawi rushes to tell Naniska, but before leaving, she gives him a sacred stone and takes his sword to remember him by. Nawi rushes to Naniska to tell her what she heard, but she reprimands her for seeing a man and warns her not to think she's too special not to be kicked out of the Agojie. Nawi protests that she has done her best and proved she is the best. She's too careful and would never be captured. Naniska says she was captured and raped every night by Oyo soldiers. She was lucky to make an escape with Amenza, but she was with child. After giving birth, she cut the child and put a sharp tooth in her arm before giving her away. Nawi says she can't be the child she speaks of. When the scar is opened up, she finds the shark tooth, and the news shocks Nawi, who walks away. The next day, the Agojes sight Oyo soldiers marching towards them with just 2 days before they get to Dahomey. Naniska devises a plan. She intends to use Nawi's explosive trick during training. The women prep for battle, and rather than wait for the Oyo soldiers, they take the war to them. In the early hours of the morning, while the enemy slept, like fireworks, they lit up the camp of the enemy. The general charges with his men at the Dahomey in a heated battle. Both parties are relentless. Nawi works the ropes with her sword. When she wasn't watching, a soldier grabs her from behind and throws her down a ditch. As she rolls down, she hits her head and becomes unconscious. Naniska is looking for Oba. Oba, on the other hand, notices his men being slaughtered and calls for a retreat. Our girls totally dominated, but not without a few losses. The Oyo soldiers take some injured Agojes with them as they retreat. On Oba's train, Fumbe and Nawi are among the Agojes that were taken. Nawi tells Fumbe to jump off the cart and save herself. Meanwhile, she and one other are taken to Wida, where they intend to sell them to traders. Not long after, Izogi is brought in. Her arm is broken and she's helpless. She says they must slit their throats as Naniska advised rather than be slaves, but Nawi is not one to give up on life. Fumbe makes it back and informs the others. The king sends for Naniska and Amenza. He gathered his wives as well to inform them he has chosen Naniska to be the woman king. Shante is not pleased by this news. Naniska is honored but seeks the king's permission to go seek out the captives, but the king refuses. He says they sacrificed for the good of many, and she is to stay and do her duty as bestowed on her. The next day, Nawi and her sisters are auctioned to the whites. The girls have made an escape plan which almost fails when Malik sees Nawi. Thankfully, his little protest gives the girls the perfect distraction to make their move. The girls make a run for it, but Nawi is captured by some men. Izogi goes back for her and gets shot. She teases Nawi one last time before giving up. Oba offers Nawi to Malik for a price. Naniska has made a decision to go after her daughter. Amenza tries to stop her, but she leaves anyway. The following day, she turns back and finds Amenza, Migan, and some few Agojes following her. Malik buys Nawi and locks her in a room to keep the whites from hurting her, since she killed a white man while trying to escape. He gives her a key for whenever she wants to escape, but also suggests she comes with him to England. The king learns that part of his council has gone off despite his orders. His wife Shante advises him not to call off the feast he prepared, or else he will look weak. Rather, he should name another woman king. While the white men party at night, the Agoje sneaks into their camp. One of the prisoners informs them of Izogi's death and Nawi's trade. Naniska, angered by the news, instructs they burn the place to the ground, taking no prisoners. The Agojes attack with no mercy. Malik rushes to Nawi and tells her to go with him, but she insists on helping her sisters. He gives her a change of clothes and tells her he'll be waiting on the beach in case she changes her mind. Naniska is on the lookout for Oba. Amenza fights like she's drunk on rage. Migan sets fire to the camps. Malik's friend tries to escape with a few slaves, and Malik can't stand this, so he releases the slaves and they beat his friend to death. Naniska finds Oba, and this time she's ruthless and finally kills Oba. While she takes in the victory, a white man almost shoots her, but Nawi shoots him instead. She fights off the other men, and the Agoje hail their victory. As they march back, Malik still waits for Nawi at the beach. He spots her with her sisters, and she nods at him and follows her sisters. Back in Dahomey, the feast has begun. Shante has adorned herself to take the honor that was meant for Naniska. The Agoje returns and the people hail them as they always do, especially chanting Naniska. Shanti feels ridiculed by this. Nanisca surrenders her sword to the king and accepts to drop her command for disobeying the king's orders. King Gezo, after giving a heartfelt speech to his people, bestows on Nanisca the title of the Woman King to rule the land with him as per their ancient customs. The whole kingdom celebrates as she takes her seat next to the king. Now it's time for mother and child to have that heart-to-heart conversation. Now we're seeing how much her existence has caused pain to her mother, leaves her mother with "I'm sorry." Nanisca is also sorry for giving her away. In the next scene, Nawi asks her mother for a dance and the two make peace. I guess all is well that ends well. The end. Let us know your thoughts on this movie. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Tune in for more movie moments.